helicopter. Further downstream here along the LA River, coming up on Valley Hard Drive is the next overpass here. They're trying to position firefighters at various overpasses and also that helicopter. They've made 3 attempts. In fact, we've got some video to show you of one of those attempts as they dropped one of those firefighters into the water to try and get a grasp of this dog who is clearly spooked and scared and trying to fight against the water at times, running against the flow of water. He's now going with the flow of water as we come back out live, but you can see he's struggling to find his footing. And as we get a little further south here, the water is getting slightly deeper. It's just shallow enough for him to be able to walk on all 4 paws, but it's getting slightly deeper, and he's having a hard time keeping his head above the water, although he's been able to maintain his head above the water for most of the time. It just takes one wrong gulp of water that could pose a real problem here, especially as he fights that swift water that's moving south along the LA River. Guys, this is really this is something to watch, but so nerve-wracking to say the least. Yeah, he's already been underneath several overpasses. They're setting up on Laurel Canyon Boulevard and again at Lankershim. But between here and there, they're trying to find another rendezvous point to drop that helicopter rescuer back into the water. He's made several attempts, and every time he gets close to the water, the downdraft and the noise from the helicopter really starts to scare the animal, and you can see him frighteningly, almost at times running away from the rescuer. And it's unclear whether he's wearing a collar, but it appears very difficult to get a good grasp on him. I didn't see a collar, but in any event, that firefighter just trying to get a good bear hug around the animal to try and bring him back up to safety, but it hasn't worked out so far. Again, we've watched at least 3 separate attempts where he goes in the water for a few minutes, tries to angle the helicopter. Yeah, there's a culvert there with water. There's drains at various points along this river with water coming out of many of them. He keeps looking for every opportunity to try and find a spot to catch his breath, but he's having a really tough time. Now it looks like it's slightly shallower at this point. He realizes that the most shallow point in the river is the edge of the river along the wall, and he's found a little spot here where he's able to maybe catch his breath, but he is clearly exerting lots and lots of energy, especially when he starts to fight the water. We clocked him moving downstream at about 5 to 6, maybe 7 miles per hour. Clearly, at times almost losing control, but you see him here almost responding to these 2 people up on the edge there, running up in their direction. At least it's shallow enough for him to maintain his footing here. I just worry about him using up too much energy.
Well, I'm thinking
going back to that drain.
Mix. I'm thinking he's smart enough to know. I think.
Here's something they hopefully.
Somebody's dropping something. I don't know if that's going to help at all.
That's not going to help him.
Yeah, he's like, what is this?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, but that's. It's a valiant effort, but it really, I can't imagine how that would help things at this point. It really is going to require somebody in the water to get his hands on the animal and really just secure him as safely as possible. Now he's running back towards the middle. Also something I really get nervous about, because as you get closer to the center of the river, that's really the deepest point of the water.
Current, you can see that the current is so strong. This is just so tough to watch because we saw this. This has been going on for quite some time, Chris, and I couldn't even look at the monitor in our newsroom. I thought, I can't watch this. I just can't watch this. And the only good thing is it's a big dog, looks very strong, looks well-fed, which is great to see. And I know he's looking up, or she's looking up at the helicopter. It is obviously scary, but they're smart, these animals. Clearly it knows its way in the water. I mean, a lot of dogs would...
Somebody just jumped in. A civilian just jumped in the water.
Wow.
This is shallow enough water that it's not, completely unsafe, but certainly a daring jump there by that civilian who's now underneath Fulton Avenue, taking it upon his own hands to try and rescue this dog. He sees that there's no help around this particular intersection here. Folks now running to the other side of Fulton Avenue.
Oh, he's got it.
Looks like he's got him.
But now
he has
my
line.
hero.
Yeah, now he he has to find a way out because there are no exit points here, and that water is clearly moving. So how long can he actually hold on to the dog until rescue arrives here? So now we have two people that essentially need to be saved here. Again, it's not overly deep water, especially for that apparently young male individual who jumped in the water. But still, how long is he going to be able to keep a grasp on this large dog?
Yeah, you kind of wonder what the temperature of the water is. And
well, he's wearing shorts, and thank goodness we're in LA. We're not in the Midwest or somewhere where we're in freezing temperatures.
Here, someone just threw.
Here comes a life raft, and we'll see if
this will be interesting.
See if that person can grab onto it. That'll be great.
Oh, and then gets caught.
This is just such a stressful.
Over a fence. I think they're almost trying to find another
opportunity. He's on his back and he can't get to. This is just such a stressful chain of events that are happening here. Now it's like the dog is going under and he's going.
He's trying so hard.
Boy,
he's really trying to find his own footing. But that's an indication of just how hard it, even with this, fairly slow-moving water, we're talking 5 to 10 miles per hour, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is a lot, especially when you're talking about the force of water rushing towards you. He is having a hard time, even on his own, trying to find his footing there, but let alone trying to maintain control of the animal. It's exactly the problem that LA City firefighter was having, trying to grasp onto the dog. It's a very strong animal that they are dealing with.
Need another one of those life preservers sent down there.
Well, there's something right there. Is it a rope? They're trying to pull this.
Oh,
he has a rope, but what are they going to do with it?
I don't know.
I mean, put it
That's
on
a good
the body?
question.
I can't figure it out.
I think, no matter how you slice it, they just maybe, if they could at least put a pause to all this and then drop that rescuer from the helicopter into the water at a point like this, might be their best bet. But I don't see how they're going to pull the dog or that person over that fence yet. That doesn't look like it's going to make sense to me.
Only in the movies, that one seems like would make sense. But now, Chris, there is a helicopter right below you, correct?
There is. That's the helicopter. He's now orbiting, trying to find a safe spot to hover and eventually drop in that rescuer. I would imagine that's what he's doing. Although it looks like he's moved a little bit a ways away from here. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe they're trying not to spook the dog with the helicopter. Maybe they might try and make an attempt here at, again, just east of Valley Heart. It looks like the civilian who jumped in, that Good Samaritan who jumped in to save the dog, has found a spot to latch onto with his legs. He hasn't moved now in a couple of minutes, so he's found a steady spot. If they could just find a way to get help down there, it's going to require some more manpower and perhaps some machinery to do that.
Oh boy.
But it looks like they're actually keeping the helicopter at bay, and I'm assuming that that's for a methodical, strategic reason. It can only be to avoid the downdraft and the noise that it creates. So there's more LAPD officers pulling up to the scene here. Lots of civilians gathering around. Looks like this is like a hiking trail that runs along the river here.
Everyone, of course,
and so far, that individual still able to maintain his footing.
He's doing a really good job maintaining his footing, but again, the LAPD, they are well-versed in so many different rescue operations. Obviously, they've probably had to try to figure out how to do this in the past, and that's why they were at those certain points when you were saying at Laurel Canyon, at Lankershim, to try to execute this rescue. So obviously, this Good Samaritan sort of foiled those plans, but now they're trying to reassess the whole situation.
So I think they have rescuers able to pull him out of the water on the other side of the river. Let's go ahead and push back in there, Marcel. And I think there's rescuers on the other side. It might be a matter of getting him to the other side. That's what I'm being told by our assignment desk. Apparently they are setting up on somewhere along the opposite side of the river where there may be an exit point where they could potentially pull that Good Samaritan and the dog out of the water. But right now, he ain't going anywhere. He's found a spot where he can maintain control of the animal. He's got that life preserver. We'll see if they can come up with another strategy on the north side of the river. You're looking at the north side of the LA River, just east of Valley Heart Drive.
can tell the dog sort of struggling there to try to get away. He's not sure what's going on.
I know. It's really well behaved. I'm amazed that this dog is putting so much trust in this Good Samaritan. It must have been so tired. Wow. The stressful situation. Oh, you can see now that the rescue helicopter. Stressful.
Fire 3 is pulling back into the frame here. I would imagine with the intent of dropping that rescuer back into the water. I think that's what's about to happen, although it all appears to be happening so slow, especially when you're watching such a dramatic, story of a real hero in my eyes and a real story of survival. If this has a happy ending, and I sure hope it does, because everybody's giving it so much effort to try and save this poor little guy who is really starting to run out of energy. You can tell.
Yeah.
And further down here, you get the sense that it does get a little bit deeper as the water continues to flow here. So hopefully they can find a way at this particular juncture to get somebody in the water and bring both of these two back to safety. We'll see what happens here, but what a heart-pounding rescue.
Yeah, it looks like they're sending some of those looky-loos further away from the helicopter and hopefully get out of the way there. But now this guy's got to rescue the dog and the man.
I bet the man puts that dog in first, just because the man seems like he's strong enough.
He's got some good footing there.
I bet you are right about that.
And he has that.
And here comes the downwash from the helicopter. You can see it disrupting all of the dirt and leaves from the hiking trail. It makes things much more complicated, but it just might be the only way to get these two out. Here comes the hoist rescue. That rescuer dropping down now about 50 feet north of the dog and the Good Samaritan. And I would imagine they will slowly move towards them here once the rescuer's in the water.
This is quite a show.
It really is. And none of us can take our eyes off it. You're just sitting there going, oh gosh, and all you want is a happy ending, because that's what we expect, a happy ending. That's the only reason why we're really watching this. We want to
talk to that man too.
We're going to.
Yeah.
He's going to be very out of breath.
Yeah.
But
wow, here it comes.
Look at this. Now he's got to get closer to him.
Boy, that is.
Because
he's tricky maneuvering there.
Look at
it is tricky, on the surface. It almost.
Oh
no! He lost the dog.
No.
He lost the dog. Oh no! The dog has now come free from that same. Oh my goodness! That civilian unable to maintain control of the dog. I was afraid of that, and that's I think why they were keeping the helicopter back. Now they're going to have to start all over again, and that is why they have those rescuers set up at various overpasses further south of here. Again, this is at least the fourth attempt to try and save this dog. Now that Good Samaritan has a good grip on that life preserver. He needs rescuing, and now the dog is drifting much faster further south of here. I think did they pull him back up, Marcel, or is he still in the water? Okay, they're pulling that rescuer back up, and they're going to have to set up and reposition once again. Okay, they're going to try and rescue the guy. They're going to try and rescue the guy first. And now that dog is left to the mercy of the river here. So before they can get to the dog, they have to rescue the civilian. And this is just getting more dramatic by the second. And it's a real nail biter. I just hope they can hurry up, because time seems to be going so slow as we watch this take place. Obviously, everybody's moving as fast and as safely as they can, but this is just so hard to watch.
Certainly is, and hopefully that little bit of rest that the dog got gave him a little bit of energy to persevere just a few more.
Look how much energy it takes to fight even 5 to 10 mile per hour water coming in your direction. I mean, water is so strong and so powerful. They got a good grasp on the dude. Now they got to pull him up, and then get back in for the dog. We don't even know what's happening with the dog yet. We want to make sure this person is safe and pulled to safety.
I'm sure.
But clearly, this is taking resources away from that dog rescue. Whether they bring him to the
I wonder if they could just bring him to the edge,
or perhaps
there you go.
Bring him. Yeah, they're going to drop him off. Yeah, drop him off, and then get back to the dog. Right? I mean, that's what you hope. We'll see. Now he's on safe soil. Let's see if we can find the dog. People running for even further north. Look how much distance he's covered just in a short amount of time, heading up towards Laurel Canyon Boulevard. Actually, Coldwater appears to be the next overpass. There's the dog.
At least it's shallow there.
Yeah, it still appears to be shallow enough for him to maintain his footing along the edge of the river at least.
Yeah.
moving with the flow of water. Firefighters, it looks like a firefighter. 2 firefighters running along that hiking trail, trying to find another spot to drop in that life preserver. Maybe they can kind of lasso him temporarily, or maybe the dog is smart enough to grasp onto it somehow. I don't know how, but it's almost like just grasping at any sign of hope here as this dog continues to struggle. It can only go on for so long. I mean, this dog has used up so much energy in the last hour. I mean, it's important to keep that in mind as this continues on. But
do we know what time that dog fell in, or
another rescuer in the water? I'm not sure. Was he dropped in, Marcel?
just from cold water?
Okay, he came off of a truck. He is now pulled himself into the water. He is hoisted to the edge there, and he's going to try and jump in the way of the dog, where he'll be able to be pulled back in to the surface here. So now they have at least a firefighter who's secured to the edge of the river, and he'll be able, hopefully, to intercept the dog. That'll be happening here within seconds.
Fingers crossed.
That's a member of the Swiftwater Rescue Team who is now in the water, about to jump in the way of that dog if he can get to the other side of the river. He's still on the south side. The dog is hugging the north side.
Oh, boy.
Two members now in the water, trying to make their way to the other side of the river, and hopefully they can latch onto this dog.
And look what a struggle it is just to get across the river there.
Oh, look, and the
I mean,
dog's trying to get to him.
Oh.
What a good dog. Oh.
It's almost like he's going in their direction, right? It's almost like he's intentionally trying to find his way in their direction. Not enough rope. They didn't have enough rope. Okay, so those Swiftwater rescuers didn't have enough rope
This is heartbreaking.
to get away, and now he's going underneath Coldwater Canyon. Underneath Coldwater Canyon, you see fire trucks on the overpass. They are going to be relocating, I would presume, to the next major intersection, but there's already units waiting for this dog at points south of here. I got to tell you, though, the rain is starting to come down here in Studio City as we get further cover. Okay, so he's hovering over Ventura Boulevard. He was talking about possibly finding a spot to land. I don't see any good landing spots. I thought that was suspicious because Ventura is obviously lined with tall palm trees, so he ain't going to be landing anywhere in this vicinity. But it looks like he might be moving back into position over the river to line himself up with the trajectory of the dog. But he's still a ways to the east of here, so it's going to be a little more time before the dog reaches his point, unless he comes back this way towards the west. We'll try and pan back over to find that animal, and we're trying to see if there's anybody else running after him. As we have seen each and every overpass, these rescue crews, along with the crowd that's been gathering, continue to run in the direction of where they see the dog drifting towards, and now I don't see him. Now I looks like he might, right there, pushing right there in the middle. Yep, that's him. That's him.
He's just...
I just wish that there was less water in that river, just because at least it's not above his head. I guess, we have to see the silver lining on this one. At least it's not over his head. And this little guy is just trying to figure out, where do I go? I mean, it's amazing that there's not an interval of opportunity
like,
for people to get in there or get out of there.
No, it doesn't seem like there's any stair access anywhere or anything.
Right now there's no access. I mean, he's basically at the mercy of the water until they get to the next overpass, unless Fire 3 drops that rescuer back into the water, which it looks like he's just circling right now. Again, maybe coming up with another location that's more optimal, or that maybe they could drag him to shore instead of actually pulling him all the way up to the helicopter. That might be one possibility. But right now, the helicopter is orbiting the area, kind of keeping an eye on the dog until they can figure out another spot to drop in that rescuer. This will be rescue attempt number 5 if they give another go at it via the air. And as I mentioned, there are additional units now lining not only Laurel Canyon, but Lancashire is the next major one, actually.
And it's so tricky.
And what's that one near the top? That's Laurel Terrace.
Laurel Terrace.
Whitsett?
It looks like Whitsett is the cross street getting terrible.
Oh. Yeah, he's moving much faster now, trying to trying to swim with the water. At least he's not going against it, which he was earlier. Now that water is moving closer to 10 miles per hour, so it's moving a little faster. It's getting a little deeper.
Don't try to go upstream.
Yeah, and unfortunately, from my vantage point, guys, I don't see any other rescue attempts coming up until Lancashire and perhaps another attempt by that helicopter. But coming at the other side of this overpass, probably pretty quick here. He is moving much quicker than he was 5 minutes ago.
This is hard to watch. This is getting to a point where it's just really hard to watch. We have so many animal lovers in our community, and everyone's sitting there feeling helpless, trying to figure out how can you help this poor animal.
Oh, good. It's a little shallow now, and he's got his footing back. That's
a little bit
encouraging.
Yep.
If he just sort of hopefully just relax and not use too much energy until they can find some way to get him out of there.
Oh, can stand right there. Yeah, that's got a little water log.
Looks like he's finding a little bit of a pause here, a little stopping point to catch his breath. If he can maintain his footing here, that'd be great. I just get so concerned when I see him, draining all that energy that it takes to, fight against these waters, or even just, just to stay afloat. Obviously it's fairly shallow water, but still, he has used up so much energy. This is now going on almost an hour and 15 minutes. Actually, the call came in at 2:13, and we're now coming up on the bottom of the 3 o'clock here, so just about almost an hour and 20 minutes. Very, very stressful, and still no other exit opportunities coming up here for some distance.
Can you imagine how tired that dog is? It's just poor guy.
I know, and it's heartbreaking to watch, and you just have to hope that he's probably hearing, or she is probably hearing the community kind of up above her, but you can't tell if they're going to be able to help stop it.
Yeah, Chris, as we approach the 3:30 hour, our live coverage of this breaking news continues on the ABC7 streaming channel.
Absolutely. You can watch live on our website, on your phone, and on your connected TV, anywhere you stream ABC7 Los Angeles. Here on TV, we are going to turn things over to David Muir for World News Tonight. We'll be back with Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock in about a half hour. Again, join us on abc7.com or streaming on any of your apps.
Well, welcome back. We are continuing to follow this breaking news. We've been watching this poor dog trying to rescue 5 different attempts to try to rescue this poor dog that fell into the LA River. His owner was a homeless person, a woman. Apparently, she was rescued. She is okay. There was a Good Samaritan that tried to jump in and save the dog. He is okay. However, this poor dog is still stuck in the river, and we've been watching this heartbreaking scenario for over an hour now.
Yeah, I think Chris Christie, he's live overhead. He said the call came in around 2:13 this afternoon, so that would be 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. The good thing is right now, Chris, I can't figure out what is going on. Why is he running upstream?
Yeah, he's found a little bit of an opportunity to try and run against the water, which is also of concern. This is being called a shear wall culvert, and is one of the most difficult types of rescues because there's no real easy entry point into the water. So at some point, whether he is pulled to safety or whether he's pulled to the surface or pulled to the helicopter, it's going to be a challenging one either way. But right now, there's just no easy in or out. There's no easy access either for the rescuers or for the dog to get out of the water. Of course, the river was designed to keep the water in the river, right? And so it's just steering everything downstream. And look at this, another person contemplating a jump in the water, which is understandable but ill-advised in this situation. It's so understandable. Of course you want to jump in and save this dog, especially when you see, look, it's like getting a little shallower here. You can actually make out the legs very clearly. And he's moving much quicker now towards Laurel Canyon Boulevard, but finding an opportunity where the water is
too bad there
at least more shallow. Yeah, hopefully it stays this shallow because he's moving at a pretty good key, or she is moving at a pretty good clip here.
Yeah, it is amazing. If this were my dog, it would be long stopped running because he's old and has arthritis. But this one looks like it's very young, well fed, well taken care of, and is so strong. I mean, I'm amazed by its strength.
All right, 2 helicopters once again coming back into position. 2 LA City firefighting helicopters preparing for yet another rescue attempt in the LA River. It looks like one of them is pulling up right over the river, and we'll see if they make a drop into the water here in the next couple of minutes. There's that helicopter on the left-hand side of your screen. The dog just to the east, straddling the north side of the river, looking for any opportunity to get out of the water here, but it looks like it might be getting even more shallow, which is good news if it continues the way it looks like from my vantage point.
Oh, no.
These are all pedestrians that are trying to get involved, civilians who are, trying their, using any branch at their disposal to try and help this dog out, but unfortunately, this is going to require some more professional equipment and some real expertise in getting a handle on this dog.
Yeah, and like you were talking about, this sheer wall is just so tricky for them to execute.
Teams in the water at that point, and they're going to try and extract him from that opening that we saw there just a minute ago. So we'll keep the camera trained on the dog for now, but expect as we continue to move downstream here, on the right side of your frame, you're going to see 2 LA City Fire Department Swiftwater rescue teams in the water awaiting this dog. And I think the power in numbers might be the method to save the day here. If they can get multiple firefighters to grasp the dog, that might be the easiest strategy.
Yeah, it looks like he's slowing down ever so slightly. Of course, we don't know the gender of the dog. We call him he and she, it.
He, she, right, exactly.
But it looks like the little one is kind of slowing down a little bit, obviously showing that it's just tired now. It's just
probably catching his breath there. It looks like he's still able to walk along here. You notice for the most of this adventure, he's been hugging the north side of the river. Those Swiftwater rescue teams, though, they're smart. They're actually setting up one team on the north and one team on the south side. So regardless of which direction he runs, if he gets spooked and tries to run in either direction, this time they should have enough tether to get a rescuer in the direction of the dog. So we'll see. We'll hang on tight here, but he's coming up on that diversion point in just a little bit.
He looks pretty wiped out, doesn't he?
A mile at the most.
Yeah,
like
he's pretty tired.
Yeah, bothering him.
Definitely tired.
Doesn't know where to go.
Look at all the people just kind of falling along the edge.
Yeah, attracting a lot of attention here now, making our way into Studio City, where there are a fair amount of spectators watching all this and hearing about it, getting the news alerts. I mean, we've seen several people drop things, branches, sticks, rope, life preservers into the water, but that would work for a person. There's not much a dog could do with a line of rope, and it makes, you want to do whatever you could. It makes sense. I get it. I get the intent there and the willingness to do whatever you can to try and save this dog, even wanting to jump in like that one person. But you can see that water is moving a little bit quicker now, and now he's on the other side of Radford.
But now he's getting close, you said, Chris. He's
getting close to that diversion point where I understand, I don't see them yet, but there are Swiftwater rescue teams getting into position. They may be the teams that were coming from Coldwater, but in any event, they're making their way into the area.
Yeah, and these Swiftwater rescue teams are obviously on heightened alert when they know that the rain is coming. I'm sure they sort of beef up the command there, but because they expect to have something happen within the river. But this has really taken up a lot of their time and resources.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. LA City Fire Department is specially staffed for days like today. They plan for these types of rescuers because we see them so frequently. Most of the times it's a human being in the water, but every now and again we have seen this before, mostly with happy endings. So let's hope that's the case today. But just know that our LA City Fire Department has one of the best trained teams in the country for these types of rescues.
Oh, it's really shallow there.
Look, now he's really speeding up, finding a much shallower part here. Love to see him save a little bit of energy and just kind of catch his breath, but he's found an opportunity. He's just looking for any way to get out of the water. He's not comfortable just staying still. He wants to keep looking around and trying to find an exit point. There's that first team on the north side of the diversion, where the river, where the water channels into the main body of the LA River, and
Hopefully
he's
the
coming
dogs-
up on that in just a couple hundred,
Can
just a
they
couple
just
hundred
get
yards.
Yeah, hopefully he slows down. You just slow down, dog. You let them get into position.
I know. Well, it looks like he is, Ellen. It looks like, yeah, exactly. Listening to our streaming coverage, but it is true. At least the water is more shallow, and it doesn't look quite. The current doesn't look so rough when it's got such a expansive area for the water to go.
Yeah, you can kind of see that it's not really. It's kind of still there.
You're right.
Thank goodness.
I'm thinking, is it an optical illusion? But it does look less
So
strong.
this time they dropped a ladder into the water. They have a ladder at that at the diversion point near the Tahunga Wash, and they're going to try and, I guess, bring the dog up the ladder once they can harness him. But look at he saw the rescuers on the south side, and he turned around.
Come on, doggy, turn around.
He saw the Swiftwater rescue team on the south side of the river, and I think he's scared of them now. I think he's a little bit spooked. Now running away from them against the current in the opposite direction against the flow of water. This is distressing to watch because you know he's on borrowed time here. He really needs to find a spot to settle down, catch his breath, and cool down. But man, Dream, keep going, keep going. Look at the waving. It's this is so gut-wrenching.
I know, it really is. It's doesn't know what to do.
And look at the downwash from the helicopter.
I think that's the
problem. They're doing it on purpose.
So
they're doing it on purpose. They're actually trying to push the water.
It's working.
So they basically give him a hint to keep moving south. Look at that.
That's good. And then you see the people using, the one gentleman using his hands, like, sign language.
Flying away.
Go on.
I mean, running away.
Oh, do you see him running in a different direction? No, he's
still there.
Going in the right direction.
All right, so he's made a little bit of progress. Please don't turn around.
No, this is what happens, Chris. Wait, can't you use your megaphone?
It's so frustrating. Even against the current with the helicopter. Look at that. He's determined. Boy, that is a strong dog.
I'm amazed by how strong this dog is. I truly am.
Been going for an hour and 20 minutes.
He's probably like 2 years old or something, in the prime of his life, and it's
enough that maybe they can now maybe make an attempt to corner the dog underneath that overpass. We're over Radford Studios. That's Gilligan's Island Road, a bridge that crosses over the LA River, and the dog is right underneath that overpass, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, we'll go ahead and push back in there as the rain begins falling once again here in Studio City, a little bit heavier now as these rescuers make their way closer. There's the animal right there now, walking southeast away from the bridge towards the rescuers who are walking in their direction. He's in about, a few inches depth there, so not very deep water, but it's flowing a good 10 miles per hour, so we don't want to see him get back in the water. He's done a lot of swimming in the last hour and 45 minutes, using up lots of energy. But look at this. I think he sees those rescuers, and it's not the first time we've seen him run away from the help that LA City Fire Department is trying to provide to get him out of the water. They're trying to save his life. He doesn't know any better. He is just a little bit spooked for understandable reasons. Every time he hears the helicopter or sees people now in the water, he starts running in the opposite direction. So really difficult challenge for these rescuers.
I'm sure he's spooked and he's exhausted and starving and all of the above, and it just doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, no. Okay, he just fell into a deeper part of the river. He's now floating down the river.
Maybe they can... Uh-oh.
All right, our signal froze, but you just saw him fall into a deeper part of the river.
Okay.
All right, now he's... Oh, that's video from earlier where you saw him floating down the river, half floating, half running. We are hoping to get our live picture back. There he is. There it is.
They got him. They got him. They got him.
They got him.
Yeah, they lassoed him. They were able to lasso him in the middle of the river. These rescuers.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. What a great job. As he was losing control, he was at the mercy of the water, and they were able to catch him right there, finally placing a a rope or a leash around his neck there, and now he's in the safety of these rescuers. What a heart-stopping rescue. This has come to a dramatic end, fortunately, and that dog, it looks like, is going to be just fine. I really thought they were going to need some more treats to get his attention.
Wow.
But he fell into the deepest part in the middle of the river, losing control, unable to keep running or swimming away from the rescuers. And that's when they had the opportunity, as he came back underneath that overpass, to intercept the dog. And now he is being walked to safety on all four paws.
It looks like he's healing. He's literally walking right next to the person. He's not pulling. He's not lagging. This is a very well-trained dog, it appears.
Such a good boy.
I didn't realize how I'd been holding my breath for an hour watching
Such
this.
a good boy.
Yeah, that
Oh, my
is tremendous.
goodness.
And kudos to whoever was able to lasso that dog as it was floating down the river. So great job by
That
LA
was
City Fire.
a team. That was a team effort with all four of those people saved that dog. That was an incredible. Unfortunately, we'll have to re-rack that tape if we can. We're working on that. I know we lost signal there temporarily as the rescue was taking place. We're going to try and re-rack that video in just a second, and you'll be able to see exactly what we saw. A lot of it happened underneath the overpass, but it took all four of those rescuers to lasso that dog as he was flowing downriver, but he really had no control at that point. He just lost his footing and then was just at the mercy of the water.
Chris, great job doing this for an hour, covering this rescue attempt. But boy, oh boy, it's a happy ending, and we're really relieved to see that.
I cannot wait to hear from the rescuers, and certainly can't wait to hear from that Good Samaritan who jumped in earlier.
And for those people who might be wondering, in all of this, why would LA City Fire Crews, why did LA City firefighters use their equipment at the cost of probably thousands of dollars, risk potentially their safety and their lives in doing this? This is, every time something like this happens, it's a chance for them to train. If this were a person that were stuck in the river, perhaps a person who was incapacitated. In fact, they actually did have to rescue someone earlier, 2 people. So every time they do this, it's an effort that helps them get better. So it's the dog. Yes, everybody wants to get the dog out, but this is also a real opportunity every time something like this happens for firefighters to get in there and get some on-the-job training in real-world situations. That's exactly what they did here, and to the benefit of everyone involved, human and canine alike. And they're going to very carefully, I don't know how they're going to get this dog over that on the ladder.
They're gonna have to pick him up here. I want to let them walk him over the ladder. Hopefully, pick him up, and then we'll show you that video that we have queued up of the rescue taking place here. But now they have to figure out. Yeah, they're gonna have to. By the way, difficult to tell from our vantage point just how big that dog is. But suffice it to say, it's a big animal. That is a large dog that we've been watching all afternoon, and it's not going to be as simple, I don't think, as just picking him up. It's obviously a scared animal, and we'll see if he cooperates here. But they are, By the way, that's exactly what he fell into further up the LA River. You're looking at the Tujunga Wash now, but he fell into the middle of that concrete back at that overpass, which is why he lost his footing. That's what it looks like at the bottom of the river. The concrete, there's a big gap there for that smaller channel of water to flow into the LA River, and that's exactly what he fell into. So now they just need to get him over that little gap.
He doesn't want to go.
He's sick. I'm not going over that.
You can tell he doesn't want to go. And the firefighters, even though this is not a big stretch of water, they could jump over it pretty much physically if they wanted to. He probably could too, if he took a nice run at it.
He probably could too. Yeah.
But
that
this
might
is
be what we see here. Actually.
Yeah.
They
this
may
is
just
about
force
caution.
him to jump.
Yeah. Making an agility course for this 100-pound dog.
It's hard to tell. Again, it's hard to tell from our vantage point how big that gap is, but it looks jumpable. We'll see what happens.
And
here,
that dog
so
is exhausted.
Take the ladder, maybe?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
They're just dragging him across.
They got him.
All right, there it is.
Dragged him across
There
on the side of it.
is.
They walked, they're going across.
Because now can I have my treat?
Now, how do they get him out of here?
Oh boy.
How do they get him out of here?
They're bringing. They've got a harness ready. They're going to have to harness him now.
Wow.
And they'll pull him safely up to the surface there.
Well, perhaps the most watched dog in Southern California in a very long time. But very happy ending. Do we have that video
While they
of the
harness
rescue
him,
yet?
let's go ahead and roll back that video that we have queued up here, and you'll be able to see that rescue as it took place just a few moments ago underneath the overpass right there in the middle of your screen. We're looking straight down at it as the rescuers, all four of them, jumped in the way of that dog who was unable to swim at that point. He was really just flowing in their direction, and they were able to get the rope around him, maintain their own footing, and it took all four of those brave souls to bring that dog to safety back to the shallow side of the river where they walked him down that dry stretch of concrete, and the rest is history. We'll come back out live, and you can see they are now harnessing the animal to safely lift him, I would say maybe 20 feet or so, about 20 feet up to that, I think that's a hiking trail that runs along this part of the Tahunga Wash, Mark and Eileen. Ellen, excuse me.
Oh, yet incredible stuff. Incredible to watch.
Yeah, and they're going to bring him up, and the dog is safe. Everybody's safe. They're 3 for 3 today.
Yeah, certainly
the
are.
initial woman who had the dog who was rescued. The dog ended up getting away from firefighters, going back into the river. Then, as we saw about an hour or so ago,
It's a Barrington.
guy jumped in, tried to save the dog, held on for a while.
He did pretty good. You know, we thought for a second that was going to work, and he just got away from him, the dog.
But he's out. He's okay, and now the doggy's out.
Think about it, this dog has either been running or treading water or going upstream for about an hour and 20 minutes.
Now, I don't see a line stretched, although, and Marcel, you might be able to tell. Are they going to use the line, or are they going to? Okay, so they are going to use a line. They're going to use a line to lift him. I was not sure if they were going to strap him to one of the firefighters. Yeah, they're going to. Well, the firefighters will take the ladder, but he's going to be hoisted with a red rope here in just a second. There it is. In fact, you see it, the rescuer that just came down, he's got that red rope. That'll be the line they use to lift him up.
All this practice, all of this training.
Apparently, I'm hearing on the radio that he is not cooperating as they try and place this harness on him. So that's part of what is causing the delay here. He is not too happy to be strapped up, but it's obviously for his own good.
I'm sure he's absolutely terrified, you know, and all these strangers around him, and he's been through an ordeal.
Don't know if animal control could get down there quick enough to even help out, because they're obviously experts in this sort of thing, calming an animal down and taking it into custody.
Might just require a little bit of time in this situation. Give him a few minutes. Let him decompress slightly. Let his blood pressure come down a little bit, and then try it again. Surely, I'm betting one of those guys has a dog at home and probably has a pretty good knack for this. So I think we'll see him harnessed up here in just a few seconds, but he is not cooperating. They're going to have to take a little bit more control here and get that harness around. You know, the harness, it's not like a regular collar. You have to get it around the front, both front legs and around the neck, and I'm not sure exactly how that particular harness works, but I know harnessing my own dog sometimes could be a challenge.
Yeah, they don't want to do it, especially when they're this big. What I'm hoping too, you know, the owner of the dog was taken to the hospital to be checked out. There are TVs in a lot of hospitals, in the emergency rooms, and what I'm hoping is that she is seeing this and knows that her dog is okay, because I think that would really give her a lift, as it has really all of us. It's been a tough period of time for everybody, with things that have been happening in the world and close to home as well. So it's good to see a good news story here, and hopefully it's giving everybody a lift and kind of something that we could all use.
And this was sort
Much
of
needed, yeah. Some good news, at least. We know how this one is finally going to end. It was a good stretch there where you just did not know where the story was going to take us. And unlike a lot of stories that we do cover, it was extremely unpredictable with the ebbs and flows of the river and not knowing what kind of shape exactly this dog is in. Obviously, it appears to be in great shape, but thankfully, this has come to a good, happy ending.
Thank goodness. All right, Chris, good job out there.
All right, dog's okay. Now we're going to move back to the rest of the day's news, and there is a lot of it. Definitely